everyone. My name is Said Hassan. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to this great event at Relo Azhar Mentors platform with the mega trainer, Dr. Heba A Eldayem. Dr. Heba A Eldayem is an English language teacher and ATTB teacher educator. She is a PhD researcher of English language teaching methodology. She is a Relo Mentor 2020. She is an IELTS conference speaker and IELTS speaker. So enjoy your time with Dr. Heba A Eldayem. Thank you, Dr. Heba, for having you for this session. You can start now.
Thank you, Mr. Said, for presenting me, and thank you, everybody. I'm glad that to give my first presentation, and I know that maybe there will be more participants to join us. My presentation, it's called the Spice Up Stories with a Pinch of Critical Thinking. It's an online workshop, so you are recommended to get a pen and paper because some of the activities will be extended or you are to give a longer response. This will be about critical thinking and the stories. This workshop, you are to act like a teacher sometimes and sometimes like a student. So the first discussion for the first activity here, imagine that you are a secondary school student or even a preparatory. What do you feel towards critical thinking? So please, if you use the chat box and share your ideas. Do you like critical thinking? Don't you like it? Or maybe you find it interesting, difficult, whatever. I'm waiting for your responses. So there are 11 chats. You use it, motivating. So is that about critical thinking? Yes. Think out of the box. Don't forget, now you're acting like a student. So you are a student who see that it's interesting, motivating, unique, find different solutions. So nobody thinks it's negative or anything which is not approval for the critical thinking. Positive? Okay, I don't like it. So Mr. Ahmed Hawater, he understood me that he doesn't like it as a student. Difficult, make me dig deeper. Okay, for me, let me share this with you. This is second slide. Okay, for some students and for some interviews that I conducted with some teachers, they say students don't like critical thinking. I didn't get a lot of responses with this, but maybe I will find with other participants. Students find it difficult, boring, sometimes they are helpless and they don't know what to do with critical thinking. So my goal for today is how to make critical thinking interesting with teaching a story. So why is it easier to think critically about a story? So you know that all children and students like stories, and they have different reasons for liking story. But here, why is it difficult to use critical thinking for fiction more than for non-fiction? Can you provide an answer? Okay, waiting for your responses. Chats. They will guess what will happen, yes. So why they are able to guess what will happen? Use imagination, perfect. Suits all grades, use pictures, great. So you think critically about a story because you can imagine, you depend on pictures, and they attract your attention and you find them interesting. Thank you, this is perfect. Okay, the story represents human nature, life, death, love, crime, betrayal, whatever. So because it's about human nature, students don't need a lot of background knowledge to learn about a story or to form an opinion about a story. Stories remind people of a lot of things. So what do you think? What do you remember when you read a story? Okay. Similar situation. Maybe you read about something and you find a situation in your life like this, a scene in a film, a person that you met. So it's easy to think critically about a story because you see life everywhere and you compare what's inside the book, inside the story, and your real life, or maybe a film, or maybe another story. So now we will start some information about critical thinking. We will speak about these pictures. Can you tell me what's wrong with this one? I hope that you will find it very quickly. So try to examine this picture and check what's
the
wrong.
book which is the president holding his hand.
The book is upside down.
Upside, yes.
Yes. So what does it tell you here? So we checked what's wrong with the picture and it's okay, it's upside down. So what does it tell you more? This is something that the picture does not tell us. He is acting perfect, or he pretended that he is reading. So he pretended to be interested in the child and interested in reading a child's book. So here, critical thinking tells you that not everything that you see is true, and you must use your mind to check whether it's true or false. Perfect. Okay. What point of contrast can you find in this picture? I think this is the easiest one. Let me check. Not everything true that you have to check it. That's wonderful.
Abraham Lincoln is died before the internet. So
yes, that is perfect. So this is a quote, and this quote advises you don't believe that everything on the internet, or don't believe that each quote belongs to the picture beside it. And they, at the same time, they provide the evidence to believe them or to be convinced by putting Abraham Lincoln, and of course, he died before the advent of the internet. Perfect. What is the message in this picture? I want milk, I want fish, I want a mouse, I want to change the world.
maybe different perspectives or maybe different needs or interests. Maybe something like
Let
that.
me make it easier and tell you, why does a black cat want to change the world?
I don't
This is
know.
a word.
Because its color is different. Because it's an ugly cat, I think.
It
She
looks
thinks
down.
she's ugly.
Why the cat looks down, not up like the other cats?
Prejudice, yes, Dr. Iman Ibrahim, it's a prejudice and the racism from Miss Riara. Yes, that is perfect. So it's about racism and discrimination. She would like to change the world because the world is racist. Okay. You can get different interpretations from this picture. So what's going on? What is the teacher doing in the picture? Is there a teacher here?
Kill the imagination of the students or change their nature,
Yes, perfect.
make
So
make
it's
them
like
just
an
the
act.
same model.
Yes,
The
perfect.
student here came with his nature and with imagination, and he changes all this, make them all the same model. It changes their mentality.
Also,
Yes.
2 minus 2
Stereotyped.
4. So, how
Yes, perfect. So this teacher is like an axe because he shapes the students like the same model. He is not differentiating for them. He just to try to kill their imagination and put in their minds what he thinks only. Okay, shaping minds, stereotypes, teacher-centered or teacher-based class. So all this is acceptable. So can you tell me after these pictures, what are the skills that you have used to answer the questions? Okay, I know that some of you are not muted, so you can talk or analysis, yes. You think critically, that's okay. Critical thinking was used in all the pictures. Now I try to elicit the sub-skills. Guess, perfect. So you guessed, you analyzed. What else? You think differently. Okay, you can find this, you compare, analysis, looking deeper. And maybe for the last one, you interpret, you know, the implicit meaning, the meaning that is not written as a caption. What the picture tells you without words. Empathy. Maybe you can be empathetic towards the students or towards the black cat. No stated messages. I don't know what Mr. Muhammad means by not a stated messages. So maybe we will infer or interpret the unstated messages. Okay, so to make it simpler, you have a wordle of critical thinking. So try to get or make some sentences to express what you mean by critical thinking or one of its sub-skills. This needs, let me say, 1 minute. Problem solving, perfect. Reflection, perfect. Okay, think deeply. Inferring. So again, we are working on this picture in a matter in which teacher tried to reflect and elicit information, perfect. looking for evidence, inference, belief, synthesize, analyze, or analysis, sorry. Okay, you would like to stop here? No more responses? Okay. So, you know that critical thinking skills get 4 points and match. There is evidence. There are more people to give responses. That's okay. That's enough. Thank you for your response. But there are a lot of classifications for critical thinking skills, but this is one of the easiest. And here you can find the biggest skills. And under all one of these, you can find a lot of sub-skills. So I will start from the top, the easiest one, which is explanation. It's easy to explain something in your own words. You can consider this as a critical thinking skills also. So you mean that you understand it. Interpret means you understand the implicit meaning, the author's message. Like what you do with the pictures, you interpret. The one with the classroom, Dr. Nashwa said imagination, and then she said stereotyping. Maybe another one will say creativity. Maybe another one say teacher-centered classroom. So you interpret. Maybe all these interpretations, they are near each other, maybe similar, but not the same thing. So there are a lot of interpretation that you can do to one text or one picture. For the inference, and the inference is a little difficult, like when you have a cause and effect relationship and you didn't know why this character did this action, so you infer the reason, or you infer the character, like this character is kind, this character is tolerant, this character is cruel. So maybe the author did not tell you, but you infer it. When you analyze, you break down the information and try to form relationships between them, like the relationship between a problem and solution. Evaluation. When you evaluate, you form an opinion about what's good, what's bad, according to criteria. Maybe this criteria is your own or external criteria. Like you evaluate something based on your background knowledge, and this is easy when you read a story. Self-regulation, you self-assess your thinking and you reflect. You try to find out what has changed when you practice critical thinking. So if we try to imagine the critical thinking process or how it happens, I get external information. I get these information through observing, experiencing, communicating, reading, and listening. So this is what I get from the external world. So what happens in my mind? I conceptualize, which means I form a concept. I apply in a new situation. I analyze, I evaluate, or synthesize. So after doing this, I reach an opinion based on evidence. So here, sometimes when you ask a person who doesn't read a lot about critical thinking, they say critical thinking is forming an opinion. This is partially true, but it means that this opinion is based on all the skills in the middle: conceptualization, application, analysis, evaluation, and or synthesize. So do you remember anything from the middle square? What does it remind you of? I think you know it. Bloom's taxonomy. So critical thinking simply is Bloom's taxonomy, or to be accurate, the higher order thinking skills, the analysis, the evaluation, and the creation or the synthesize. But at the same time, in order to perform the higher order thinking skills, you must have the lower ones. So you must to remember, understand in order to apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So before I change the slide, how can I use Bloom's taxonomy for a story? So can you send me, for example, write the level, and beside the level, tell me how can you use this level for a story? Okay, waiting for responses. Repeat the cue. Repeat the question. Okay. You use Bloom taxonomy when you plan your lessons. So how can I use it to create an activity or a strategy or an objective about the story? Remember the chapter. Okay, Mr. Osama, can you tell me what do you remember exactly in the chapter? What are the things that you just remember or you tell your students to remember? Action, analyze, characters. Yes, Mariam, perfect. Oh, what else? Remember the main event. Remember dates. Create a different ending. Perfect. This is the top level. Apply the morals in real situations. Mr. Ahmed Hawatir, this is perfect. Miss Amani, create new events. If I were one of the characters, what should you do? This is creating, perfect. Create another ending, introduce characters, evaluate the theme. So all this is perfect. So this is our last slide before starting our workshop. So Bloom's taxonomy for stories. Remember, you remember the setting, and the setting, we mean it, the time and the place, the name of the characters, and the events. You understand the main idea. So if somebody asks you, what does this story tell about? You can give a summary. This is apply. This is understand. And when you apply, of course, you know, applying, you try to use this information in a new situation. You rewrite the story in a different setting, time, and place. We will do this today. We will write the story again. What does the text remind you of? And here, if you remember the first part that we spoke about, students like a story and they can use critical thinking because they remember things from their later life. Analyze, cause and effect relationships, problem solution. The characters have a problem and how they solve it and what is the relationship between those. You analyze the actions, the feelings, the thoughts, and also the personality traits. Evaluation. Actions, you evaluate the actions, if it's true or maybe moral or immoral. Oh, sorry. You evaluate the traits. You evaluate the author's message. Do you agree with the author or not? And at the advanced level, you can evaluate the writing style. Creation, you create the end, you change the ending. If you don't like it, you write a sequel. Do you know what a sequel is? The sequel is part 2. You imagine that you will be the author of part 2 of the story and you extend the story. Or maybe you solve the problems that left unsolved. So now we will start our workshop. And as I told you, it will be recommended if you have a paper and pen. This is, of course, you are familiar with this story, Cinderella story. I know maybe some of you, if you attended one of my sessions, I used the Cinderella before. And the reason for this, because it's well known, it's familiar. And of course, when you use a new strategy with your students, get something familiar. Don't use something which is new in order to teach them a new strategy. Okay. Somebody wanted, but so. This is a type of a summary. Can you tell me, what does each word refer to in the story? Someone wanted, but so. So what does someone refer to? What does wanted? The question is difficult?
No.
Someone wanted to.
Okay, go ahead. I think this is Mr. Osama. Yes, Ms.
Someone
Amani
wants
says
to
someone
marry.
is the main character, or we can call it the protagonist. Perfect.
I know the answer.
Okay, write it down, or you can talk if you are unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Ayman?
Yeah, Ayman. Yeah, I know somebody as for the main character. The main character, somebody refers it to the main character. Then wanted, the W. What did the main character wanted to do?
Okay, perfect.
But there was a problem in what he wanted to do, so he did something to solve this problem.
Yes, that is perfect, Mr. Ayman. Okay, we can check it. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
So again, someone or somebody, it's the main character or the protagonist, wanted a goal. What is the biggest goal for this character? But the conflict or the problem. So, or you can say the obstacle, what stopped the main character. So the attempt to solve the problem, finally the ending. So it's a very easy. The character wanted a goal, but there was a problem, so they did something. Finally, what happened? Great.
The prince wanted to marry Cinderella, but it was difficult to find her.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay. Cinderella wanted to go to the party, but her stepmother refused. So after wanted, you have the goal, which was very simple, going to a party. The obstacle, her mother refused or stopped her. So a fairy helped her go and marry the prince. So this is very simply, and you can do it for other characters. Okay, so if you remember the goal of modifying the setting, Cinderella 2019. Of course, I didn't put it in 2020 because it's a different year. So remember the normal life that you had in the past, last year. Now you act as a teacher, not a student, before joining the breakout rooms. What are the guiding questions that you are using with your students to do this? Again, I'm not going to give my students this task and say, okay, please go and write about again. Your task is to act now as a teacher, not as a student. You will give me some guiding questions that you will ask your students to use when they write this story, Cinderella 2019.
I can ask them what's the difference between Cinderella in the past and Cinderella in 2019.
Could you please provide this in the chat box so we will find different ideas and you encourage other participants to join?
I want to speak, doctor.
Okay, so please put this in the chat box.
Doctor.
Okay, no, nobody's guess what does Cinderella write in WhatsApp? That's okay, but this is a situational question. I'd like a question about how can I help a student to write a whole story like this? There is a person that you'd like to speak, Mr. Ayman, right?
Yeah, you want to speak from a long
Okay,
time.
go ahead.
You can hear me, yeah. I think when I wanted to make our students make a summarizing for something like Cinderella story, we have, for example, 6 questions or 5 questions. I taught them the first thing. The first question starts with who. Question with who is the main character in the story. Next,
Yes.
then what happened in the story, and what happened question. They will tell me what happened in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. Then I can ask them, where did the story happen? Okay.
Yes.
Then what was when the time? I'll ask about the time. When did the story happen? The time. Then what happened? What was the problem? And the last, what was the solution from the main character for this problem? That is.
Hey, that's okay. What you said is wonderful, and we can call this a story grammar, because you ask questions about the characters, events, the problem, the solution, and what happened in general. But here, I'd like, what are the questions for the new story for 2019? Let's check the chat books. What could Cinderella do during dining time in the past and now? That's okay. How can the mobile used? How can Cinderella use her mobile? What was the problem with that? Okay. Can you tell me what turned the life of Cinderella? What was the turning point in the story?
The new thing that used
Who is the character that you cannot find in 2019? Meeting the prince? No. The fairy. So in 2019, there is no fairy. Maybe you will find the stepmother. There is no witch or a fairy. There is no imaginary character that would help her. So let's check these questions. We will study them together before joining the breakout rooms to write the story together. I need something simple. It's not a long story. So on the left, you will ask the questions or similar to what you said. Setting is the time and the place. What is the setting? Again, the setting is the time and the place. How did the setting affect the plot? If you remember the setting, there was the time, there is a fairy or a witch that can solve your problems. How did the setting affect the character's behavior? You can find that Cinderella didn't solve her problem. The fairy did it. So Cinderella was passive. How did the setting affect the character's attempt to solve the problem? As you see, she didn't do anything. The fairy did everything. So the questions on the left, it's about the actual story. Let's go in the right, and this is also, you can use it with your students. What is the new setting? So we said we will put it in again, 2019. How will the new setting affect the plot? You don't have a fairy. Can you find any person who would help her, or she will help herself? How will the new setting affect the behavior? And how will the new setting affect the attempt to solve the problem? So, would you like to ask anything about this? The medical age finished. I like the responses. The party, a woman in 2019 is stronger than she was in the past. I like this from Miss Radwa. This is perfect. She could ask for help from Facebook friends. I like all these responses. Everything is perfect.
Hello, Doctor. First of all, thank you for your informative session, which is a very interesting one. My name is Radwa.
Okay. Glad
Yes,
to hear that.
Yes, okay, you're welcome. I think that in Cinderella 2019, she's going to search for herself, which is different completely from Cinderella was in past, who searched for the prince. She will not. She searched for herself. She's going to search for her achieving her own dreams.
Have you imagined a different goal for her?
Yes, her goals will be different completely, and her view of for the life. She's going to search for herself and for her own dreams, that to work and to get money and to buy a new house and to get a new car and to find herself in a very good way in a society and to be an effective.
Okay, that's great. How does your story end?
Maybe that she will not get married the prince, or maybe she will not find the suitable one, because she will be she will be stronger and independent.
Okay, that's perfect.
Okay.
Is there anybody would like to share another response?
Thank you, Doctor.
After what you said, because your response was very supportive to women, can we receive any response from a man, a male teacher?
Can I?
Okay.
Okay, my name is Eli Adli.
Mr. Ali Adli?
Eli Adli. I'm from the Ministry of Education, not Al-Azhar. I'm just a guest.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm glad that you would join us.
Thank you so much. And I worked with Al-Azhar teachers in the Mentor 2020 this year. So
okay, but please, I'd like you to share your response at first.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad to know all about you on Facebook.
Thank you so much.
So, could you please share your response about Cinderella's 2019?
Cinderella complained from her mother-in-law, okay, and in the past.
Yes.
But if we imagine that these days she is with her mobile phone and Facebook, she can make some rumors and complain with her friends on the Facebook, okay, and she could talk about her mother-in-law. She could complain about that. After she reached the prince and she escaped before midnight, and she left her shoe, and the prince in the past, in the original.
No, we know all about the past.
Yes.
What about?
Yes, I'm going to the future, and in the future he could ask about the size of her shoe, or he can give some description of her looking on the Facebook, and ask somebody if somebody know this girl, I want to marry her, and he can receive many comments about that.
Oh, okay. So, is there anybody who agrees with Mr. Ali? Or I'm sorry, I didn't recognize your name. Could you please write it down on the chat box so I'm not to make a mistake again? But say yes or no. Do you believe there is a man in 2019 will look for a woman for her shoes?
No.
What would people think of him? He would be a trend on Facebook, I think.
Hello, Dr. Heba. May I participate?
Okay, is there anything interesting that anybody would like to say? Yes, okay.
Hello?
Who would like to start, Mr. Osama or Miss Venus?
May?
Miss May, okay.
Can you hear me? I think the difference is that she plotted against her mother-in-law in order to be able to attend the party.
Try to adjust your mic.
My mic. Yes. Can you hear me?
No.
Oh, the problem is with my mic. Okay.
Okay, it started to get a bit clearer. Yes, go ahead.
I think she plotted with her friends against her mother-in-law in order to attend the party. And when she managed to get a wonderful dress and shoes because she doesn't have witches. So when she attended the party, she met the prince, and he has a phone.
Oh, your response is interrupted.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I hear you, but when you start to tell us,
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. May, I recognized your voice. Okay. Can you hear me?
I think so.
Everybody hears me. So Mr. Osama will speak first, then you will try to check your mic. Okay, waiting for you.
I think
Dr. May to come back. Okay.
I think Cinderella now has more means. I think Cinderella now has more means than in the past. So it's easier to escape from his stepmother. For the prince, it's easier also to find Cinderella easily using modern technology, WhatsApp, Facebook, and so on.
Perfect. Okay, that's great. Dr. May would like to share again, or that's enough? Okay, we will continue with something else. Okay, so we will make Cinderella write a letter, but don't worry, for this response you will find the answer. I'm not going to ask you for this. If you let your character write a letter, so the character will speak about the problem and also about something else, what she feels and what she thinks about the problem. How did she try to solve it? And what happened in the end? So like, dear sir, I live in, my problem is, I feel, I think, I tried, but I decided to. So she will speak about the decision. I'd like to know what you think about this. She is asking for help. So this is a letter of help from Cinderella. Let's imagine it here. Okay. So the first part in black, I think these are the details of the story. You don't need to read them. If you speak about the red part, this is when you speak about the feelings and the thoughts. In red, I live in misery, I hate my life, there is no one to love me or take care of me, I don't know what to do. I think about telling my father, but I feel that he will scold me and maybe he will never believe me. I'm afraid that telling my father will make the problem worse. This part, it's not in the story. You use the critical thinking to get or to infer her feelings and thoughts. And could you make it larger? Okay. So if you view, oh no, that doesn't work. So, okay, so this part speaks about her feelings and her thoughts. I think it's easy to recognize them, and sorry for not enlarging or not responding to your request, Dr. Radwa. So what is response? Do you know these people, of course? Do you know the job of those people? the RTV presenters or radio presenters, there is a job called agony aunt. Write a letter to an agony aunt. And this is what Cinderella did. She wrote to a person to help her. And of course, this is an imaginary response. So again, and in the chat box, imagine yourself to be Osama Munir or Radwa, and don't connect yourself to the character of those, or imagine yourself you work as an agony aunt. What are the questions that you give your students before writing the letter? Again, your student will write a letter to an agony, will act as an agony aunt and provide an answer for Cinderella. What are the questions? Would you like it to be repeated? Hello? So is there anybody to speak or write something for me in the chat box? Yes. Again, the task, write a letter, act as an agony aunt and write a reply letter to Cinderella. What are the questions? No, this is not a pre-reading question. This is after the story finishes and after you know about the problem of the character. So how can you help? What are the questions? What's your problem? Okay. Post-reading, that's right. How was your life in the palace? I will write in the chat box. So task, act as an agony aunt and write a reply letter. How can I help my student write it? Okay. A letter to an agony aunt. So if you write a reply, let me say there is a reply letter by an agony aunt. I think this starts to be clear. You write the reply letter, and before you write it, you must know how did the character try to solve. Was the character partly responsible for the suffering? How did the personality traits affect the problem? So if you remember, was Cinderella active or passive? She was a positive person who tries to solve her problems or not? Yes, her father was alive, but he didn't help her. So again, the question, write it in the books. Was Cinderella positive or a negative character? Did she help solve her problems? Depending on a fairy tale. No. If she depends on a fairy tale, can she be positive? No, she was negative. Okay, so how can you help a negative, helpless character? You are the agony aunt, and you will go to the breakout rooms and try to provide a response. What is the solution in a letter? Is it clear? Say yes or no in the chat box. Is it clear for everybody?
what we are concerned with is how the exam deals with the story or the novel. So even if there is critical thinking questions, we are exam oriented. Okay, so how
Okay,
to
perfect. But
overcome this problem?
I understand your idea, and this is not the first time that every teacher said that. We would like to work the same way because we don't have time, and we are test oriented, or we teach for the test. But I'd like to tell you, if we teach all the time for the test, we will never teach English. We will teach English and geography. Another thing for you, don't try everything every time. So this lesson, I give them one activity. The other lesson or the other chapter, I choose another one. So you will try to be various, and in order to be more interesting for your class. It's not about to try. I said to you that you can't use everything every time. So you can choose one activity for a lesson, or maybe in 2 weeks you get something new in your class, just to create a sense of variety and to help your students to practice critical thinking. That's all. And I'd like to tell you that these days there is critical thinking questions for secondary stage. That's right. Okay, so Miss Amani, are you here?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Okay, is the voice clear?
So can you see me?
Okay, perfect. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Now everybody, this will be the last activity for today. And we have Cinderella with us. So I will make an interview with Cinderella, and if you would like to ask her some questions, you are welcome. Okay?
Okay.
Is it clear for everybody? Say yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Hello, Cinderella, how are you?
Yes, how are you? I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to start with a question that may be a little embarrassing. How old are you at the moment?
Okay, it's not embarrassing at all. I'm 65.
You're 65. Oh, so you are a queen.
Unfortunately, I'm not.
You're not a queen?
No, I'm not.
Oh, so what happened? You were married to a prince, so the prince must be a king after some time.
Of course not. He is a king, but I'm divorced.
You got a divorce from the prince?
Oh.
Oh, how did it happen? He loved you so much.
Do you remember why he married me?
He married you because you're kind, you're caring, you're beautiful.
No, he loved me because I was the most beautiful girl in the party. But people said he married the girl with the most beautiful shoes.
I heard that. People criticize this, and how can a man love a woman because she lost her shoe and the shoe was beautiful? This was ridiculous.
Yes.
So what happened to you after the divorce?
Now he's married to a beautiful woman from his family.
So he married. And you were happy that he married. Why are you smiling?
I thought that he was in love with me, but he wasn't. It was just preferring.
Oh, you don't care. You don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I think you live with your stepmother?
I lived with them after divorce. They pretended to love me and treated me very well till they managed to take all the money I got from the prince.
So you got some money from the divorce and they deceived you and took your money?
Yes.
Oh, that is very traumatic. So how can you support yourself? Where do you live?
I live in a sheltered accommodation in a house for elderly people who have no family.
Oh, that's very traumatic, Cinderella. I hope that you will have a better life in the future, and thank you for joining us. Is there anybody who would like to ask her a question?
Yes, can
Yes,
I ask
there
a
is Mr.
question?
Osama says, not divorced, bad news. Is there anybody who would like her to ask her a question before she leaves?
Yes.
Okay.
After what happened to you, Cinderella, if you met the prince again in another life, would you marry him again?
Yes, I will marry him again because at the moment he will tell me the same reasons. He loves me because he loves me, but I don't know what conditions will be there. Will I discover that he is deceiving me, or will I not discover this? It depends.
Maybe I think you will get divorced for a second time.
I think so.
Okay, any other question?
Yes.
Okay.
Who made you suffer? You or the prince? Who is the main cause?
What? I can't hear.
Okay.
You mean the reason
who
for
made
her
you
divorce?
suffer?
Raise your voice, please.
I think that she asks you why you got the divorce. What was the reason?
Because the prince admired another girl, another beautiful girl. After I got old, he admired another girl and married her.
If somebody asks you, you are the main cause.
No, I'm not the main cause. He admired another one. He admired only beautiful girls. When I got old, I was not beautiful at all.
As you know, this problem always anybody will say the woman is the main cause.
No, it depends. It depends. And Mr. Osama, yes, Mr. Osama, I'm not going to wear another nice shoes again.
Okay.
Yes, doctor.
Okay, I have a question. Excuse me, I have a question for Sandrella. I see you are Sandrella. Can you hear me well?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I see you that you are very shiny and very beautiful and optimistic. So how do you face avoid it? How do you face this problem, or in other words, how do you avoid this obstacle and go through the life?
Okay, I think that life goes on. There is no solution. يعني هتعمل ايه؟
Okay, just give me a description. Give me something like an advice, a piece of advice for the women like you, that they depend on themselves and they can face the society and they can say, yes, I get divorced because that he is not a suitable man for me. He is not a suitable partner for me. So
Okay.
give me a piece of advice.
Okay, you can find other solutions, or other. You can have a work, lead a new life, travel, change your career, do anything you can do in life. You can write books, join activities, and you can fill your life. And it doesn't depend on only one reason to live.
Okay, thank you, Sandrella. This is a very we can end it by a very good slogan: life never stops.
Yes, life never stops.
Okay, that is perfect. Any more questions?
Was it easy with your children?
What?
Was it easy with your children?
There were no children.
Okay.
Okay, is it over? Okay, thank you,
Yes,
Sandrella. And now I'm ready to receive your questions.
Yes, Dr. Heba,
Yes,
can I ask a question, please? Can I?
For Sandrella or for me?
No, it's related to the session itself.
يعني ما خليكم
يعني انت
Okay. Okay. So some teachers think that the idea of critical thinking and these activities is something difficult to do. I just have an idea concerning this. It will make it easier. As you said, you can.
But
Yes.
I'd like to say that these activities have been implemented before. So I implemented them, and they belong to free writing, how to use free writing to assess reading. And I'd like to say even the low-level students were happy to participate, and they had good ideas. So if you give your students a freedom, write whatever you like. I can help you with vocabulary, and don't worry about grammar and writing mechanisms. They will write, because it wasn't a writing task.
Yes.
Have you got it, Mr. Ahmed?
Yes, you made it.
And of course, you can make it easier. I didn't provide you with all the guiding questions. I made it like you will participate and get the guiding questions from you. And I think it was a bit difficult for you.
No,
it needs.
I didn't mean that.
It's not difficult, but let me say a bit tiring for you in a session.
Excuse me, I didn't mean that your activities are difficult or something like that. I think he just made it clear for everyone. Thank you.
Sorry, but the problem today is with the boys. So sometimes I listen, sometimes I guess. So this seems I guessed something that you didn't say. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. There anybody again about the session? Cinderella? Thank you, Cinderella. You did a great job.
Okay, yes, yes, Dr. Heba.
Okay.
Yes, first of all, again, thank you very, very much for this informative and illuminating session.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And I have two questions. These activities can be done not only with the reading, but can we do it with the speaking and writing and listening?
Everything is adaptable.
Okay.
So I'm speaking about what happened with me or what
could you recommend for
I
us?
didn't correct them. Just so, for example, you speak about speaking. What I did in the end was a speaking activity with Cinderella. Wasn't reading.
Yes, yes, and I can do this in the classroom as an interview between Cinderella and Agnita Aunt. Yes, and they can act out.
Yeah, it seems like a creative role play.
Yes, I can give them time to think about it, and then into groups.
Just to let them write quotes from the lesson.
Or I can divide them into groups, and then choose from one of them as an interviewer and interviewee, and they come in front of the classroom and they act out this scene.
This is what he did. It was a free writing, and at the same time there was a presentation. So for all the activities there was a presentation, even if it was writing.
That's fine. Okay, the second question, could you recommend us references like books or websites to read more about how can we involve the critical thinking in stories or reading parts?
I'll search for this for you, but at the moment it's hard to provide links because maybe I cannot select at the moment what's good for you.
Or maybe could you recommend for us a reference book to read more about it?
Okay, but there is nothing in my mind at the moment because I don't depend on one book. But would you speak about where can you find these activities?
Yes, book to explain. Yes, to talk about more activities.
The activities
and
themselves.
The idea
That's
of
right.
involving critical thinking in the classroom.
Okay, it's okay to find the book about critical thinking, but for these activities, some of them were designed by me, depending, of course, on references, but I'm speaking about the design of the activity and its procedures.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that we should
Okay.
depend on the famous stories, like the Little Red Hood and Cinderella, to encourage them
Of course
to.
not. You can use different stories, and of course I don't teach the Cinderella in my classes, but
yes,
I use it just as a model, because if I give you another story and not all the participants have read that, so
yes,
this would
so,
be
this is what I say, that we have to depend on the famous stories, famous one,
as a model only.
Yes.
So yes, when you teach, for example, how to make an interview, and you teach a Prisoner of Zenda, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Cinderella as a model, and then students will work on Prisoner of Zenda, an interview with Rassendyll, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Is that clear?
Yes, sure. Yes, okay. And the last one, that's all of these are adaptable according to their levels and to their number and their mentality and their grades.
Well, teaching itself as a social science is adaptable. So nothing can be taken or followed to the rule.
Yes.
So everything is adaptable.
Sure.
You can adapt, you can combine with something on your own, or something you will say, oh, I don't need this. It depends. Okay, thank you for today.
Okay.
Thanks for your attention and for your participation. I'm glad that I have this wonderful group, and I hope that I will meet you again in other presentations. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Heba, for this great session. And we hope that everybody has made the most benefit from this session. And we'd like to announce you that we're going to have Dr. Samira Amara on Saturday at 7:00 p.m. He will be talking about soft skills in education. So we'd like to have you on Saturday, 7:00. So we are expecting you all to attend this important session. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending today's session with Dr. Heba A Eldayem. And we'd like you to have enjoyed your time. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Thank you. Have a nice day, everybody.